Good morning from my beautiful island home on the very small sacred island of Iona, west coast in the Inner Hebrides in Scotland. We have glorious sun. At 5:30 this morning, I was on the North Shore having a dip, playing with my flow rope, doing a meditation, just glorious. And I have been feeling into this concept of mastermind again. So this video is simply to share what is a mastermind. You might have heard it, and I'm not talking about the TV program where you're a specialist and an expert in one very niche subject. A mastermind, oh my goodness, I can't wait to tell you what this is. So a mastermind is about gathering a small intimate group of people, so generally around 8. Can be women, can be men and women, can be he, she, they, her. Doesn't matter who gathers in the circle. What does matter is that there is some like-minded synergy, and at the same time, there are differences around the circle. So there is a diversity of life experiences, skill, expertise, ideas, input. So what happens with a mastermind is it's the saying that when 2 or more hearts or brains come together, more than 3 is generated, right? So what happens when you put a group of people together is that a synergy gets created and a life force starts flowing around that circle of sharing, of generosity, of support. So I think one of the best ways to describe a mastermind is thinking of it in business terms. So if you think about a company, think about one of your favorite companies that you know. Generally, at the top level, there will be what we call a board of directors. And some of those directors are employees. They might have climbed up the ladder. Some of them are non-executive directors. And some of them are brought in actually for their expertise, their skill, their knowledge, and their consulting ability. And often the board of directors, not often, generally the board of directors, is there to help guide and support and give strategy, bring up tough ideas, just being able to move the company forward. Now that has its pros and cons because we all know, especially from the movies, right, that things can go haywire. But I want you to just tap into the concept of having an independent board of directors in your life and in your business, whether you are an entrepreneur or whether you are a corporate bunny that is maybe at the higher level, so you are a decision maker in whatever department you're in. So it could be your company, it could be a company that you work for. So long as you have capacity to make some decisions, that is the mastermind that I call together. So let me speak from an entrepreneurial point of view and from a corporate leadership point of view. It's lonely. It gets hard, tough, things come at us. We hit the bottom of the trenches, we fly high, we don't always know who to celebrate with, we don't know who to commiserate with. And one of the things is that whether you're an entrepreneur or a leader, you have energy, you have voma, you have strengths, you have abilities, you have ways that you want to lead into your vision and your purpose and your goals. And sometimes it is absolutely amazing to have a group that can champion you. So imagine this regularly, whether it's weekly, monthly, every other week, every quarter, you meet with those same people. So there is continuity, there is trust that gets built up, there is energy, there is support, there is leveraging each other's networks, there is the generosity of giving and receiving. So what happens is in a mastermind, let's say I'm in the hot seat, or you could call it the love seat, I might bring to you all sitting around in my mastermind a challenge that I'm currently going through. Now, a challenge could be something what we deem negative, like, shit's hitting the fan and I need some support and advice. Or it could also be there's all these opportunities coming at me and I'm not quite sure what questions to ask, how to look at it, how to do the due diligence, how to think about it strategically. Is it in line with my values and my vision? So a challenge is not necessarily just something negative, and I'll use the inverted commas, right? Coffee time. So I will present what's going on in my world. Let's just call it the challenge in my hot seat in a very succinct short way. I don't want to necessarily give you all the backstory, all of the stories in my head and heart, because I have so many of my own. And the whole idea is to be open, is to be willing, is to be able to look at things from a new perspective. That's the point of a mastermind. So I will present to you my challenge, and maybe I allow 20 minutes for that. So we get very good at being able to describe, explain, share, be vulnerable, and I present it all to you. Then what happens is every single person in the mastermind circle gets to come in and share. So you could share, oh, this question comes up for me, Kate, when you talk about that. The next person might say, I've been through something very similar, and this is what I did, and this is what I wish I'd done. Someone else might say, oh God, I have absolutely failed on my butt with that very similar challenge, and these are the lessons I learned. Someone else might say, oh, I've got a friend who I know is going through the exact same thing. I could maybe reach out to them. And what happens is, as you go around the circle, ideas, support, input, experience, everything that each person around the circle comes with, so that past, the present, the ideas, their way of looking at life, which is so different to ours, that's what we want in a mastermind. Other people's eyes, ears, hearts, brains, spirits on our world. And then it's up to us, it's up to me when I get all this wonderful information coming just for me. I get to choose, oh, that really resonates with me. That feels like really difficult for me to think about. Maybe that's exactly where I should go because I feel some resistance. What am I going to glean from my peers? And what am I going to implement? And often it's just about having things presented to us that we go, oh, of course, there's more than one or two options that only I can see in my head. Thank you so much for sharing. And then what happens is each and every person gets a chance to have the hot seat or the love seat. And of course, you can already imagine, oh, this might look like a very boring cup to you compared to what I normally share, but I'm going to turn it around just now and tell you why it's my cup of choice to drink my coffee out of today. So, what happens is, as each person around the mastermind circle is bringing their challenge or idea or opportunity to the circle, every time we mastermind one hot seat, every single one of us can be learning, getting ideas. Oh, of course, I can use that in my business. I can use that in my life. Oh, I must go and get that book. So it becomes an ever increasing space of generosity. So it is a beautiful way of leveling up. So I call masterminds leap and leverage. It's a wonderful thing to experience where you're on the cusp of change or leveling up or that exponential growth. 22 years ago, I started my coaching business, and my strapline is something that I've come back to now, supporting you on the threshold of making outrageously courageous leaps. Now, if you're still listening, I'll tell you a story. Back in 2010, I had been going through quite a rough patch, and I started reading Jack Canfield's Chicken Soup. No, not Chicken Soup for the Soul. That was the body of work that most people know him for. But I started reading the Success Principles. And on, I don't know, chapter 30 something, there was over 60 chapters, he spoke about this concept of mastermind. And as I read that word, the chapter title, I was like, it's intriguing, what is that? And I felt it hook my heart, and I thought, I've got to know more. Because at the time, my life was going, tits up. Isn't that the cutest mug? So, tits up. And I knew that I needed and wanted and was ready to make some big leaps, make some big jumps. And I thought, if I'm going to make those jumps, I've got to get myself a support team, a support network. Yes, I had coaching. Yes, I had healers. Yes, I had all sorts of things that I was doing to keep me going. And I knew I needed a big group of bold people, no, a small group of big, bold people, because there was only 4 of us, to help me make those changes. So I called 3 people that I loved, adored, respected, and knew, and said, I'm thinking of doing this concept. what about it? And the three of them jumped at it. Two guys, two of us females, and we masterminded our tushies off for a year. It was remarkable. And I also remember at the time thinking and sharing with them, I have a funny feeling that this is going to become one of my models of work. Because what I've realized, I don't know if any of you have ever done the Strengths Finder by Marcus Buckingham and linked to the Gallup organization. I used to train that work in corporates. I have a deep reverence for it because it's all about playing to our skills and managing our weaknesses, which is often so different to how things are done. We always get taught we have to strengthen our weaknesses, right, and overcome those obstacles. Well, what if we actually just keep playing to our string bow, right, and actually accelerating our lives through our strengths? And that's for me what Mastermind is about. And the four of us used to gather every 2 weeks. We all lived in Johannesburg in South Africa at the time. And if one of us was away, we would call in or we would send our commitments. Because here's the thing about Mastermind. Not only is it about the sharing in the present moment, you then have to make some big, bold commitments and you come back and you have to check in about those. Because I don't care how disciplined you are or I am, I have the tenacity of a little Jack Russell chasing a ball. And I know how hard it gets when you go tits up or when you're faced with exponential challenges or when you don't know which direction to choose or you are reaching burnout and you know you need time off and you think there's no ways I can do it. We all need that nudge, that support, that accountability group. It's just the most phenomenal way of leveraging your life. So I have decided for the first time ever, I'm doing it in a retreat format on Iona, which is just going to bring together so much magic. It's actually quite ridiculous. Because in the past, I have run 1 day Leap and Leverage Masterminds. And in fact, below on this page, you'll see, I don't know, about 10 videos of people saying how it blew their minds and their hearts from 1 day. So imagine 5 days. Imagine. And it's got 6 weeks of the mastermind follow-up because that's the implementation, accountability, keeping going, doing things and facing the challenges and dealing with them and processing them and healing them as they come up. Because I know that I'm busy doing that right now. As you level up and you get the beautiful vision, the shit comes and hits the fan and all your old patterning and beliefs, you've got to work through them. Because if you didn't have them, you would already be at that next level. So it's a retreat on Iona for 5 nights, and it includes, we'll have a pre-mastermind call, so you will connect. We'll have the 5 days together. Playground, this playground of Iona, I'm looking over the croft and the sound of Iona where I was swimming this morning at 5:30. And then we have the follow-up. It's going to be mesmerizingly magical, powerful, profound, insightful, generous. It'll give you a kick up the ass. It'll also give you a big hug when needed. So there will be 8 of us gathering in the mastermind circle. And if you are interested, somewhere on this page, there'll be a link to book a call. If you have never in any form worked with me before, you are so welcome to join Mastermind. All that we will need to do is we will also need to have a few sessions before you come so that I know certain things in your life are in place so that you are ready for Mastermind. So we'll have to add those on in some form depending on where you're at in your life. So a little bit of pre-Mastermind coaching and mentoring with me. So if you're interested, somewhere on this page will be a link to book a call and you'll need to fill in an application form. And how lovely if I get to welcome you off the ferry this year. I'm going to say goodbye.